Well, YouTube, if you've been wondering where I've been for the past couple of days, I've been doing research on a certain case that's hit the media attention recently. I believe you've heard of one Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony was charged with the murder of her 2-year-old daughter, which she claimed drowned in an accident. And one thing snowballed into another, and she tried to hide the body. Unfortunately, it was found by officers, and she was charged with murder. The cause of outrage in this case is the verdict that was eventually reached, as not guilty. She was only proven guilty of 4 counts of lying to a law enforcement officer. She was charged 1 year for it, and I believe she had a fine of $1,000. But in order to piss you guys off just enough so that you'd keep watching, I can't say that I agree with you all. I can't conform to what everyone agrees. In fact, I disagree with the majority of people, and I have to say that the verdict reached was pretty fair. Alas, firstly, I'd have to concede that you guys have a very good point when you say that you don't think she's very innocent. She searched how to make chloroform and how to break necks on Google search, and it was found that she had chloroform in her possession when she was arrested. But that's all that can be said, that this is just circumstantial evidence. Mind you, they did try their best, and it is very suspicious, but suspicion does not equal murder. And incidentally, there's no direct evidence tying Casey to the crime. Of course, I'm not saying you need direct evidence in order to convict someone of a crime, but circumstantial evidence alone, and especially very shady circumstantial evidence, has never been a very case-deciding point. There's a phrase I learned in law class, which I think people really don't seem to understand, and that is that when someone is proven guilty, they must be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And as I've said before, yes, it looks very suspicious, she looks very suspicious, and her actions have not exactly been ideal to her case, but does that make it grounds for murder? Of course not. What I think it comes down to is that this case has been spun way out of proportion by the media. And with that comes that people will follow what the media says because they don't bother to do their own research. Why would they? Why would the media lie to them? But what they don't realize is that the media spins its own bias sometimes when it reports its cases. I really get sad then whenever I see people say on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter that Casey deserves justice, she deserves some harsher jail time or something like that. I mean, the jury did their job, the judge did their job, the prosecution and defense did their job. What more do you want to ask for? I think people are way too focused on retributive justice these days, and yeah, I blame part of that on the media. But they should understand that the justice system has failed in both ways. That it has let people go who were actually guilty and has convicted people that were actually not guilty. You know, I'm going to say something that you guys might think completely contradicts this whole video, but I'm going to say it anyways and explain myself later. I personally believe Casey Anthony is guilty. It's out there, okay? I personally believe she's guilty. I personally believe that her suspicious behavior, especially regarding why she searched up how to make chloroform and how to break necks, is enough grounds to say that she could have been the murderer of her 2-year-old daughter. Does that mean that she is? Does that mean that my opinion counts for anything? Of course not. The prosecution, unfortunately, could not provide enough evidence to provide even a glimmer of hope for a manslaughter charge, let alone first-degree murder. If the evidence just isn't there, you can't rely on your gut feeling to tell you that this person is guilty. That's not how the justice system works. So I encourage other people to maybe research the case a little more, see the mitigating and aggravating circumstances behind it, and maybe judge for yourself whether Casey Anthony truly deserves a guilty verdict or not. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, but before you go, I would like to request a rather large favor of you guys to please subscribe to the Reply Girls Reviews, links in the down bar, and please watch her videos. She's a really good person, she makes really cool videos, and she's unfortunately in a bit of a pickle where she pissed off a couple of trolls, and I was hoping to send her some support. So yes, please subscribe to her and watch her videos. That would be greatly appreciated. And may the truth always be heard.